Welcome to Briefly Orbiting, a podcast about what happens when normal people come in contact with the world's biggest celebrities. I'm your host, Matt Courtois. Lightning can, in fact, strike the same place twice. It happens all the time. The Willis Tower in Chicago, the skyscraper where Ferris, Cameron, and Sloan press their foreheads against a glass and look down in Ferris Bueller's Day Off, it gets struck like 50 times a year. So lightning can and does strike twice. But sometimes, you only need one bolt to really do some damage. Picture it. June 2006, Lakewood Amphitheater, Atlanta, Georgia. There are days you can phone it in at work, and then there are days like today. For weeks, 99X, the alternative radio station where I work, has been giving away passes to attend a Live X with 9 Inch Nails and Peter Murphy of Bauhaus, who are on the With Teeth Summer Tour. A Live X is basically like our station's version of a tiny desk concert. Typically, we record it in a conference room space at our office. Occasionally, we'll record it at a nearby recording studio with room to bring in a small audience of listeners. In either of those scenarios, it usually takes weeks to air those recordings because they're edited, mixed, and then mastered. But for the 9 Inch Nails Live X, Trent Reznor wants to broadcast it live. Now, doing it live presents two issues. One is broadcast quality, and the other is more content related. 9 Inch Nails is a band that gets played on the radio, but they're not what you would call a radio-friendly band. Thankfully, the radio station has a delay, famously installed after a very profane morning show interview with Ozzy Osbourne in the 90s. The delay allows the station to broadcast with a 30-second buffer, so if someone says something naughty, like "I want to bleep you like an animal," for example, the DJ can hit the dump button, which deletes the last few seconds of a live broadcast. But if you have to hit the dump button more than 3 times, you run out of buffer, and then you have to let the delay build back up in real time. So anything that might be an FCC violation better be spaced out enough to allow for that buffer window. The other issue is broadcast fidelity. To broadcast live in 2006, you basically have 2 options. To get a Marty shot, which is a big antenna that you point at the station, or you use an ISDN. An ISDN is always the preferred because it's studio quality, thanks to digital phone lines that hook up to a high-speed modem. Then they sync with another ISDN back at the station. The venue has one, and it's located on a metal pole just behind the stage where the band's loaded. For today's broadcast, all I have to do is run an extremely long phone line from that metal pole to an artist green room that we're converting into a recording booth for the band and a group of 20 or so contest winners who get to witness it live. The green room is conservatively about 100 feet away from that ISDN jack on the metal pole. And since it's a highly trafficked area backstage, I have to use this gaffer's tape to secure the line to the ground. If someone tripped, they could get seriously hurt and likely kill the broadcast. But I've built in plenty of time to get things set up. I even drove down to the venue the day before to test the line and make sure it sounds good back at the studio. So methodically, I unroll a phone cord, then I tape, then I unroll, and then I tape until I get to the green room. And then I run a mic cord from the soundboard directly into the ISDN box, and I plug the long phone line into the back of the box to transmit back to the station. All that's left is to dial in, and we should be good to go. But when I dial in, the modem doesn't connect. The screen of the device just keeps flashing for what feels like an eternity. I check the phone cord, it's plugged in properly. Then I retrace my steps back to the ISDN box, following that trail of gaff tape to make sure that no one's kicked it or pulled it. Everything looks fine and undisturbed, all the way to the metal pole into the ISDN junction box. But it's still not working. Dumbfounded, I make a beeline to the production office, where I find the venue's marketing manager prepping for the show. "Akeisha, the ISDN line isn't working," I say. "I tested it yesterday, but it's not connecting now. Do you know anything about it?" "No," Akeisha says. but someone said the venue got hit by lightning during last night's storms. All the clocks were flashing when I walked in, so that's probably why it isn't working. I check my watch. I have 2 hours to figure this out. Thankfully, I have a station van with a Marty on top, that big antenna I was telling you about. I run back to the van, and I hydraulically raise that antenna, spinning it towards the Westin downtown. The Westin downtown has a repeater on top of it that relays the signal back to the studio. I plug up a mic and I call the station's hotline to test the signal strength. "Studio," the voice on the other line says. "It's Matt Jones. He's one of our other DJs at the station." "Hey buddy, it's Matt C. I need to test the Marty." "The Marty," he says. "I thought we were going to run this through the ISDN." "Well, there's an issue," I say, "and we have to switch back." "Dude, I don't know about this," he says. "Look, we have no option, and I don't have a lot of time. How does it sound? Check, 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 check." "It sounds okay," he responds. I spin the antenna around until I get the best possible connection. "This is going to have to do. I'll call you back when I get to the soundboard," I say, and I jump out of the van. The next obstacle is the mic cord. Because I was counting on the ISDN, I only brought a long spool of phone line. Thankfully, someone left a small spool of mic cord in the van from a previous gig, so I have enough to get realistically about halfway to the green room. So I go through all the drawers in the pockets of the vehicle, and I grab any random cable that I can find, and I start laying that cable that runs from the parking lot to the performance space. And again, I have to gaff tape the cords to the ground to prevent someone from tripping or disconnecting the cords. Eventually, I catch up to the phone line that I've already laid, so I can pull that up and replace one cable for another, smoothing down the gaff tape from before. All the while, I'm constantly checking my watch. We're now 45 minutes from go live, and I still have another quarter of the distance to cover. At this point, the spool is gone. I'm now patching the rest of the distance with disparate mic cords, connecting male to female in 3 to 5 foot increments. Amazingly, it reaches the soundboard with about 15 minutes to spare, and I'm praying that none of the mic cords are damaged, because that'll create like a staticky connection at best, or at worst, no connection at all. Like how when you have one of those bad Christmas lights, it can kill the whole thing. I plug into the board and I call the hotline again. "Studio," Matt Jones answers. "Me again. I need to test the signal." "I wondered what happened to you," he says. "I thought you quit." "If you mess this up, you might as well." "Just tell me if it works. Check, check, check," I say. "You know, it doesn't sound half bad," he says. "Oh, thank God. I will call you back when it's go time," I say. My shirt, and for that matter my pants, are completely soaked through. I spend the next 5 minutes standing in front of a fan, trying to dry off, chugging water. The rest of the promo staff brings in the winners, all of whom sit on the green room floor, crisscross applesauce style. The band's roadies finish sound checking the mics and instruments, and everyone's waiting for the band to arrive. A few seconds later, in walks Trent Reznor from Nine Inch Nails and Peter Murphy of Bauhaus. Murphy is wearing black slacks, with a white button-up dress shirt untucked. Reznor is wearing a tight black t-shirt, muscles busting at the seams. This is the era when he was super jacked, accentuated by an extremely closely cropped buzz cut. The crowd applauds as Murphy makes his way to the mic stand, situated in the corner of the room. Because the room is too small for monitors, Murphy and Reznor have to put on giant pairs of headphones to listen to the mix. Reznor takes a seat behind 2 keyboards, which form right angles, separating him from the crowd. For the broadcast, the artists have asked to not be introduced by one of our DJs. Rather, they want to play an approved, pre-taped intro in the studio before they launch into their set. So, as the applause dies down, Murphy and Reznor turn and look at me, standing by the soundboard, on the phone with the studio, waiting for me to cue them in. The broadcast is supposed to start at the top of the hour, so I call the hotline again, and once again Matt Jones answers, and I can hear the commercials playing in the background. 2 spots left and then we're a go. We're 30 seconds out. I'll count you in from 10, he says. I look at Reznor and I mouth, 30 seconds. My heart is beating so fast. I would be sweating, but my sweat glands have been emptied out hours ago. I put my little flip phone between my ear and shoulder so I can use both hands to count them in. Here we go, Jones says. 10, 9. And I use my hands to count along with him. 10, 9, 8. Wait, stop, Jones says. I forgot to turn on the delay. We got to wait for it to build up. I turn my hands into fists, stopping the countdown in the room. And Reznor, shaved head, muscles bulging in his tight black t-shirt, doesn't just stare at me. He stares through me. I go white as a sheet. And those sweat glands? They somehow found some reserves, and I start pouring again. Anyone in the room would probably think that I was the one struck by lightning that day. Lightning from Trent Reznor's eyeballs. It's too intense, and I have to turn away. Jones, please, I say low under my breath. I think he's going to murder me. We're good now, Jones says. Here we go. 10, 9, and I spin back around and I count them in again. This time without a hitch. Reznor and Murphy performed 3 songs. Head Like a Hole, Sanity Assassin, and Hurt. And I don't really remember a moment of it. I just sat there and monitored the feed, hoping that the broadcast doesn't go down, praying that my soul will somehow return to my body. After the set, one of my coworkers asked if I wanted to stay and check out the show. I didn't. I could not pack up fast enough and go home. The live sessions are available on YouTube. I'll link it in the show notes. For 20 years, I have not been able to listen to it. But before I started writing this episode, I forced myself to check it out. And you know what? It sounds awesome. Murphy's vocals fit perfectly on Head Like a Hole, and when Trent comes in on the chorus, it's chill-inducing. Despite all the problems, the hiccups, the sweat, the tears, that day we did it. We took a bottle, and we captured lightning. Briefly Orbiting is written, produced, edited, and hosted by me, Matt Courtois. Briefly Orbiting is recorded in beautiful Marietta, Georgia, the small town with the biggest heart. Follow Briefly Orbiting on Instagram, YouTube, Substack, and Letterboxd at Briefly Orbiting. Do you have a good celebrity story that you think might make a good episode? Email me at brieflyorbiting@gmail.com. Thanks for listening, and remember, the world is a better place when you just let people be who they want to be.